I am Lamont at Large, and today I am at the Mt Calvary Cemetery here in Galveston, Texas. Tuan was a good guy, nice, quiet, and shy. He brightened everyone's day with a cheery smile. Tuan was a good friend who never said anything bad about anyone. He was a good orchestra player, playing all the right notes. Tuan is with us no longer, but his memory will linger with us forever. Laurie Curtino. On June 6, 1980, when Din Tuan was working with his father at a 7-Eleven here in Galveston, Texas, when a man came in with a sawed-off .22 caliber rifle, pointed it at Wen and his father, and demanded all the money in the cash register. Even though Wen did as he was told, even gave him the cigarettes that he asked for, with his hands up in the air and the money already in the bag, Harold Amos Bernard still shot him right in the chest, killing this teenager right there in cold blood, right in front of his father. Thank God 30 minutes later, after the robbery occurred, Bernard was caught about 30 minutes north of Galveston and was arrested by the police along with 3 of his associates who were with him when they committed the robbery. And he was tried, convicted, and sentenced to die by lethal injection for this young boy's murder. And that execution was carried out in February of 1994. Rest in peace to this young boy. His kid was just working a job at 7-Eleven. And they didn't even take the money. The money was still found at the scene. Killed him for no reason. Our beloved daughter, Judy Ann Worthen, July 13th, 1952 to May 22nd, 1963. She died after a year-long illness at her home. She was a 5th grader at Sam Houston Elementary School here in Galveston, Texas, and she was a member of the Sacred Heart Church here as well. A beautiful girl. I remember her from school. Very smart and always smiling. I was walking home and I was at the scene of the accident that night. I've never forgotten Melissa, even though I never knew her personally, and now I never will. Dear Mom, Dad, brother, and sister too, Jesus sent me to heaven to watch over you. Jesus said I could be an angel in heaven, you see. What a kind gesture to think so much of me. Jesus said an angel has a lot of work to do. He said without me, he'd never make it through. Jesus said he took me at 11 years of age so I could start early to set the great kingdom stage. Jesus said he was reluctant to take me from my family on earth but I was his child from the first day of birth. Jesus said your hearts would grieve for me. Jesus needs my help, I hope you can see. Jesus said earth is just a resting place. When you join me up here, we'll be singing Amazing Grace. Jesus said I must close for now because an angel has a lot of duties to perform. So Mom and Dad, I hope to see you in heaven one day last. Martin D. Homrighaus, October 7th, 1958 to September 11th, 1983. Sorry if I got the name wrong. He's buried next to his brother, Ronald Lee. Martin died in a motorcycle accident. I was walking by this stone and I had to take a closer look. She looks just like this girl that I had a really big crush on when I used to live in Las Vegas about 20 years ago. Very pretty. This is the grave of David C. Belluomini, May 2nd, 1951 to December 27th, 1977. As I was standing here, this gentleman came up to me and asked me if I knew David, and I said no. I said I was just taking pictures or taking a video. And he told me that David died in an elevator grain explosion in Galveston on that day. He said that he was a paramedic at the time and that he had responded to the scene. Apparently, grain elevator explosions are, even though it's a freak accident, they do happen often around the country. And this one was a very, very bad explosion. He said 26 people died. I guess when you're processing grain, there's some kind of powder that comes off the grain. He said that it's some kind of a combustible substance, and any kind of little spark in those things could just set the whole place up. And you imagine those elevator grain silos being so huge, and that just basically being a big, huge bomb. When he responded to the scene, he found his friend under the blown up train. He would have been killed instantly. Very sad, very weird story to say the least. Andrea was born on June 15, 1986 in Galveston, Texas. She graduated with honors in 2004 from Ball High School and was attending Texas A&M University at College Station, class of 2008. She was studying special education. She was president of the Kappa Theta Beta Catholic sorority, and he was also involved at A&M with Loman Learners and Project Sunshine. She was blessed to know early in her life that she had the ability to work with people and touch their lives. She spent countless hours and many summers at Camp Discovery and Camp Summit working with children and adults with special needs and physical disabilities. She was able to reach people that no one else could. Andy's strong faith was evident by her involvement in organizations such as Island Catholic Youth and Youth Ambassadors to Christ for the Archdiocese of the Galveston-Houston area. And as a student at Ball High School, she was a member of the National Honor Society track cross-country team, Key Club, Ball High Theater, and BESTT. She was also founder and past president of the local chapter of Best Buddies and an officer of NCYC. On May 27, 2007, she was driving on Interstate 35 in Fort Worth during a really bad rainstorm, and she lost control of her vehicle and accidentally went into the incoming traffic on the other side and hit somebody head on, and she was killed in the ensuing accident. The Texas State Patrol said that it was an accident just due to weather. Surrounded by many loving family members and friends, Zachary Gonzales, 19, went to be with our Heavenly Father on Friday, May 4th, 2012. He was a 2011 graduate of Ball High School and briefly attended Galveston Community College. Zachary was a courageous young man with a strong faith in his Lord and Savior. He touched the heart of everyone he met, and his friendship was strong and true. Tall and handsome, Zachary was a stylish dresser and had a love for fashion and accumulated an extraordinary collection of tennis shoes. A true fighter, Zachary never complained. Athletic and strong, he would complete his treatments and go play basketball with friends and spend time listening to his music. Zachary was an inspiration to many, not only for his love of God and love of life, but for his strength and determination in his courageous battle against cancer. He will be forever missed by all who knew him and also by the people he never met but who prayed for him. Luciano Zuniga Jr., January 3rd, 1982 to August 28, 2001. So Luciano was sitting at his house or a friend's house on the porch, and a kid named Arthur Ozine Jr. came up to him with an aluminum baseball bat, and I guess words were exchanged. And Ozine hit him in the head a couple times. Luciano fell on the ground. Then Ozine just simply walked away, walked to his house. The police were called. They went to Ozine's house where his father came out. Police, guns drawn because, of course, this was a serious assault. And Arthur Ozine Jr. was arrested and charged with assault with a deadly weapon, which was upgraded to murder because 2 days later, Luciano died. Amazingly enough, me reading through the court proceedings, even though Ozine Jr., who killed this kid right here, he had never been in trouble with the law, and he was facing life in prison. Again, he killed this kid right here. His defense attorneys had the audacity to tell the court that they were hoping to get probation for their client. Again, their client killed him right here with a baseball bat. And the jury convicted him, but during the sentencing, remarkably, he only got 10 years in prison. And more than likely, he only did 5 years of it. So I don't understand how he could only get 10 years in prison if he bashed this guy's head in right here. He claimed during the testimony when he was in court testifying on his behalf that it was self-defense. Yet, however, I don't see this being a case of self-defense. There was some kind of altercation with his sister and somebody else, and a baseball bat was produced. Simply, instead of putting up your fist and defending your sister or whatever it is that you feel you need to do, you took a deadly weapon and you murdered him. So I don't understand the light sentence here. I was looking for information to where this guy possibly threatened him, and I didn't see anything like this. A very strange and unusual, sad case. This is Rigoberto Aragon, February 28, 1971 to August 29, 2002. He was working out here in the oil fields, and he was cleaning an oil drilling rig, and fumes from jobs when you're cleaning rigs, working in confined spaces, very, very dangerous. You don't even know the oxygen is out of the area you're at until it's too late and you pass out, and it looks that he suffocated to death, but you fall unconscious and that's it. It's not like you're drowning while you're awake. Very, very, very dangerous work. You even gotta, when you get those kinds of jobs, you know, there's classes that you have to take to prevent these kind of catastrophes from happening. If you can see right here, this rather amazing crypt, this is the Opperman family vault. It was built for Mary Opperman, who died in 1884. Gustav and Mary Opperman were married. They had 10 children. Gustav was a real estate developer here in Galveston. He came from Germany. Had 10 children between the two of them. However, not all of the children are buried here. I believe only 2 of the kids are buried here. They had a son, Albert Opperman, who died in 1900 in a storm out here along with his wife, Abigail. The storm here was the worst hurricane and natural disaster that ever hit this country ever of all time. Upwards of 12,000 people died in that storm. It was a Category 4 hurricane. His body was never recovered. So Gustav and Mary are interred here along with, I believe, 2 of their sons. And then their other children, you know, you move to other cities, so forth and so on. But a rather remarkable piece of architecture, if I do say so myself. So this here is the Italian vault. And basically what this was, you know, back in the 19th century, a lot of Italians came here to Galveston just for economic opportunities. And as a people, you know, you build an organization to kind of settle people, Italian immigrants, when they get into a certain area. And this was built by the Italian Benevolent Society. So when you were Italian and you were a part of this club, when you died, they would place your body in the crypt until time for your burial. So you'd be put in the crypt and then you would be put right around here. This is different members of the Italian Benevolent Society. And one of the guys that's buried in the vault, a man by the name of Clemente Nicolini, he was a Italian consulate. And then, of course, you have Gioacchino Cassara. He was the first president of the Italian Benevolent Society. And as you can see, like the structure of this, it's kind of like a goth look. You can see those gargoyles right there, but time has slowly eroded them, but you can kind of still see what they look like. And they've actually did a pretty good job in terms of keeping this crypt right here clean. looks like the screws came out of here, so I'm gonna just use my drill real quick. I'll put a couple screws in there. Okay, so now we're gonna stand this up. Gonna hold it right there. Gonna go ahead and dig a hole right there and keep hammering it in there. I'm gonna get that in there. It'll be nice and sturdy. That way it can stay in its rightful place. Our beloved grandson Bubba Mitchell Dwight Valdez, July 23rd, 1970 to May 24th, 1981. Mitchell was playing with his friends off Farm to Market 3006 in 7 Mile Road, and his friends lost track of him. He was reported missing, and a search and rescue party combed the area to look for him, and they found him. He had accidentally drowned. Thinking of you daily. I hope to get a visit from you in my dreams. I just miss and love you so much. I really wish I could turn back time, love. Auntie, hugs and kisses. Thinking of you daily. Love and miss you much. Love, Auntie Nene. Bernice L. Gonzales, August 23rd, 1963 to March 17th, 1977. I don't know how this little girl died. I just wanted to say her name because I don't know when the last time somebody did or somebody came to visit her grave, but I'm glad I did. Rest in peace to this young girl that did not get a chance in life to become a woman and have children of her own. This is Officer Christopher Michael Sanderson, September 11th, 1985 to March 4th, 2017. He was a K-9 officer for the Galveston Police Department, and he died after a lengthy battle with cancer. Merced Garza III, September 23rd, 1981 to June 23rd, 2003. Now, this is somewhat of an unusual case because Merced was shot and killed on June 23rd of 2003 at a McDonald's in Dickinson, Texas, about 15 miles or so north of Galveston. And when paramedics and police arrived, they found him shot multiple times, and later he succumbed to his injuries. Now, this case remained unsolved for about 5 years, but in 2008, a man was arrested and charged with his murder. Now, the last thing that I was able to read online was that he was charged with first-degree murder and he was awaiting trial. However, the story disappears. That's why I can't say this man's name that was arrested for his murder, because I don't know if he's guilty, because there is no record of him in the Texas Department of Corrections. It's like the case disappeared. Maybe I didn't do enough diligence in looking things up. So if anybody out there wants to look this man's case up, I have no idea. Please let me know. I'll pin the comment. So as of right now, I just simply don't know what happened to the man that was charged with his murder. But obviously the police had a strong enough case. Probably some people were talking. They told him, hey, this guy killed somebody a few years ago, and they picked him up. And that's where the case kind of ends. During the trial, I read on partly that a jail informant had indicated that the man confessed in jail or talked about his murder. But then again, I don't know. All the police know during their investigation was that they believe. This here's the grave of Philip Mullis Jr., April 25th, 1993 to April 15th, 2017. 10 days before his birthday, he died. Deputy Constable. So he was at his night job as a security guard for one of these resort hotels here in Galveston. And he noticed 3 young men acting very suspiciously. And he went to approach them to see what they were doing because he felt that they were just acting really shady and shifty. And one of them pulls out a gun and shoots him multiple times, and he falls to the ground. And then they all scatter. Somebody heard the gunshots and called 911. When officers and paramedics arrived, he suffered multiple gunshots, and they took him to the hospital. While he was in the hospital, they had asked him what happened. He said he's seen 3 black males. They just looked like they didn't belong there. They were acting weird. And when the police arrived and they were investigating the area, they had seen that several cars had been broken into. So they set out a manhunt for the suspects. They found one man, Tyrone Haynes, hiding between cars in another hotel. They quickly arrested him. And of course, they asked him what happened, who shot him. He ain't saying anything. So they take him to jail. Eventually, he gets out of jail. However, the police are still watching him when he gets out of jail because this turns into a murder investigation. Philip Mullis fought for his life for a week in the hospital, but he succumbed to his injuries. So the detectives are surveilling Tyrone Haynes as he gets out of jail, and they notice during their surveillance that a man goes to pick him up when he gets out of jail. And they identified that man as 19-year-old Brandon Ledford. Brandon Ledford, when they look him up, has multiple arrests and is already on parole for other crimes that he committed. Now, they don't have absolute proof that he is the murderer at the time, but, you know, they're looking at that. They're like, oh, okay. When they processed the scene, they had noticed that there was a latex glove that was left, and they did a DNA analysis of the latex glove, and it was a DNA match to Ledford. So they start putting together the case to charge him with murder. And I guess he had went to his parole or probation officer to check in, and he had gotten arrested for something that he did that violated his parole or probation. So he goes back to a prison in Texas. So the detectives are like, okay, cool. Now the story gets a little bit convoluted. I don't know if they had already put the warrant for the arrest of Philip's murder while he was in prison, but they were supposed to be alerted when he was set to be released so they could pick him up and arrest him and charge him for the murder, but they were not contacted. So he was released from prison with basically a murder warrant on him. But detectives quickly located him and arrested him and charged him with this man's murder. And this went all the way to trial. And last November of 2019, he was finally found guilty of Philip's murder and was sentenced to 80 years in prison. So rest in peace, sir. It was a very sad shame that you had to lose your life simply just doing your job, and had some scumbags do that. But we got him, and hopefully he'll never be released from jail ever again, and will never be able to hurt anybody else. Live, but not live, but still alive by the grace of God. I am Lamont at Large at the Mt Calvary Catholic Cemetery here in Galveston, Texas. Thank you for watching my video. Always appreciate it. I will catch up with you on the next vlog. Peace out.